Welcome back to Softcore History. I'm your host for the week, Dan Regester, joined, as always, by Rob Fox.
Happy Mother's Day.
Hooray.
To my wife, who I left alone to do this show.
Congrats, dude.
Woo. Sorry, babe. I got to work. I got to work. Do you like your present that you bought yourself? Why do you got to fucking pay for it? She's crying.
See, you're going through it.
Woke the kids up from a nap just screaming at her.
Mm-hmm.
But I made an Instagram post that was really nice.
That's all you needed to do.
All that matters.
Flowers, Instagram post.
The amount of people.
Make her not have to cook breakfast.
Yeah.
Do you think women 100 years ago felt so ballsy chewing their husbands out for going to work as women tend to do these days?
Oh, boy. Jack Mandaville's here, by the way.
Yeah, that other voice you hear is Jack Mandaville. I can host, Rob. I got this.
Okay.
But yeah, Jack, thank you for coming in on Mother's Day.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, there was a big sacrifice on my part. I had to call my mom for 15 minutes today, and I'm here.
I haven't done that yet. I will.
Oh, it's important. And plus, she's East Coast, so she's
an hour ahead.
Yeah, you're really ticking down.
It's more of a dinner time call, you know?
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Dinner or morning, but I can never call my parents in the morning because they're at church. So, like, by the time I'm conscious enough to fucking do anything, which is like 10 a.m., like, I'm awake at 6:45, but I basically just lay down on the couch in the playroom, and I'm like, play. Just play. And I just, like, fall asleep.
Well, the good news is you got a whole little clan where they can entertain themselves. They don't necessarily need you at this point.
As soon as the baby is good to go, I'm just on autopilot.
Yeah.
Because they'll just beat the shit out of each other while I take a nap.
And they'll be they'll police themselves. The older one will, kind of enforce things.
Yeah.
They'll start enforcing the rules you set down.
Yeah. I need to get there.
No,
God, I need to get
I
there.
forgot to get my mother a gift today.
I think the phone call's the
The
gift.
phone call's the gift.
Phone call's the
I'm
gift.
the gift.
Yeah.
But I did get Jack a gift for Mother's Day
Oh my God.
as I was thrifting.
This Ted Williams Diamond Moments commemorative plate. And it just so happened I was like deep diving on him earlier today.
We had a little connection.
Yeah. He's going to live forever, baby.
His head is frozen.
Yeah, it's good to go. You just need to get the tech.
He's
Tech's not there yet.
He's
but
a war hero. Probably would have way more records in baseball.
Could arguably be if he hadn't been interrupted those 5 or 6 seasons
in his prime.
in his prime. Could arguably, if he would have had those seasons, we could definitely say he would have quite possibly been considered the greatest baseball player of all time.
Yeah, he got basically robbed of 5 seasons in his prime, and then honestly, but he robbed himself because he went back. He was like, "Yeah, I'll do Korea."
Yeah, yeah, and he was an officer. You can just resign your commission. You can just leave if you want to.
Yeah.
That's kind of the rules about being an officer.
Duty calls.
Yeah, because I don't think he didn't get any bodies in World War II. He didn't really.
No.
He didn't really do anything in World War II.
Nope.
Korea is where
He got down. 3 air medals, five air medals, which means he did over 25 missions
which is nuts in a fighter jet.
in a fighter jet. And you know who his wingman was for a substantial portion?
John Glenn, right?
John Glenn. Yeah. 2 All-American iconic figures flying side by side.
God fucking damn.
And he had a couple, and Williams had a couple real close calls.
Yeah. He got a couple kills, too, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Air to air. I mean, I don't even know what he killed on the ground, but air to air, I know he had a couple takedowns.
Yep.
That's a fucking dude.
And then came back and won the fucking batting title.
Yep. I believe they said there's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I read once or someone told me once that he had basically 25 vision, not 2010. 2010's allegedly perfect human vision. 2020 is normal. And his vision was just so insane that he could see the enemy planes coming before anyone else.
He was eagle eye?
Yeah.
All right.
Probably from his Mexican side.
Yeah.
Yeah. People forget his mother was Mexican.
He's Californian, right? He's from...
Yeah, he's from San Diego.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about another dead eye today. That's a transition in the business, boys.
Love to hear it.
We're going to the Wild West.
I feel like that's one of your wells now.
It is. Pew, 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 pew.
China and the Wild West.
That's all I got.
Can I ask? Oh, I loved your guys' Chinese episode. Can I tell before? I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Can I tell you my
That's what
routine
this
every
show
morning?
is. This show is just to interrupt.
Yeah, you're here to interrupt.
Who cares about the actual topic?
Every morning I wake up anywhere between 6 and 7, and I go queue up the sauna, do my morning ritual. I sit in the sauna for 20 minutes every morning. I get 20 minutes of you guys every morning, and then I shot with the shower is right next to the sauna, so I get about half of your episodes in every morning.
Nude.
Nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people can only handle me for 20 minutes in real life.
Can I be honest
So
with
that
you?
makes sense.
Sometimes I get so excited about a topic, and I love your guys' voice on things. But, you guys have the tendency to hit the topic at maybe around the 10, 15-minute mark.
Yep.
So sometimes I will fast forward straight to the topic. I
fair.
find your guys'
Good to know.
lives intriguing, and I love knowing you and being friends with you. But sometimes I'm just excited that you guys are talking about, a Russian czar, and I just want
Right.
to get straight to the point.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's probably why we're not more successful. Very good criticism. We will not take it, though.
Yeah.
We will continue to do the show as we do
Well,
it.
you're jumping right into it for this show.
Under
A little
10.
bit. I'm
Yeah.
the one slowing it down today.
No, today we're going to talk about Bass Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
This is the first time I haven't known the topic coming into a show.
Yeah, we usually tell Jack, but most guests we don't tell. Didn't tell him today. I figured we'd have to have a man with such illustrious, lip hair to speak on Bass Reeves.
Yeah.
And that's Jack.
He had a Western stash.
And you're up there. You have one of the better stashes that I know.
If my mustache was any smaller, they would accuse me of being a pedophile. So
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah, I got to have the rugged Western look because the hairline's not helping me.
Now, you know what my favorite Bass Reeves factoid is? I don't know if you put it in this or not.
Okay, you're already down to me. Go ahead.
Well, just because I don't know if it will come up. You know who one of his descendants is?
Tell us.
A direct descendant?
Direct descendant. Noted NHL enforcer Ryan Reeves.
No shit.
Direct descendant
He's got a couple
of Bass Reeves.
that are professional athletes.
Okay, I've been out of touch with hockey the last few years. Is he a white guy or a black guy?
Black guy who it will beat the shit out of you. One of my favorite Blues moments in history when he played for the Blues. He was in a series with the Stars, just beat the shit out of some Stars player. I think their enforcer blows a kiss to the Stars bench as they're taking him off to the penalty box. Just so the blood is strong in the Reeves
Yeah,
family.
they're both enforcers in their own right.
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool you're doing it on a prominent black figure, not during Black History Month. That's very progressive of you.
I know. We tried that for a year, and it kind of fell flat.
Eh.
We did an athlete, an artist, and you talked about
I was the only one that wasn't like he played the guitar or he played basketball. Basically,
we did a society that no longer exists.
the land of punt. Yeah, it's where Egypt got all its treasure from. Like if Egypt,
Down south where they get darker.
it was like Ethiopia
Yeah.
and Somalia, like the Horn of Africa is where they were at. So if a pharaoh wanted some monkeys or some gold, whatever, some wild shit to put in his castle, his whatever, boom, go to punt, get that wild shit.
I'm just not about forcing race into everything, He's just a bad motherfucker.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some people think about that strategically where you're like, no, I just want to do this guy. He's cool.
Yeah, this guy just is awesome.
Yeah.
So Bass Reeves was born into slavery in 1838, Arkansas, serving the family of state legislator William Steele Reeves.
I love that it was an actual congressman.
Yep.
I mean state congressman, I guess, but still.
Probably better to be born into higher society.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
we're all
most slave owners were, they were
Oh,
wealthy.
the amount of people who owned slaves in the South was pretty low.
It was 9%, I believe. Is the 8 or 9% was the number.
Yeah.
And then they somehow convinced all the poor whites to be angry, not at them, the rich people, but the poor blacks.
Right. The rich people who, by the way, refused to modernize the economy at all.
And the poor whites suffered as a result.
Yeah. Oh,
They
completely.
didn't get angry at the rich whites. They got angry at the other poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Reeves moved to Texas when Bass was 8, and he would work the fields as a water boy until he grew older and helped tend to the horses and work as an apprentice with the blacksmith. He was then taken as a companion for William's son, George R. Reeves, who was a tax collector, sheriff, and eventual Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives.
Were they around the same age?
No, he's a little older.
Reeves was a little older?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Bass's responsibility would shift over time to be George's valet, butler, and even bodyguard.
Okay.
So he's learning some tricks of the trade.
They grow to like each other, as much as you can like your slave owner.
That's what happened with Jack Daniel and Nearest Green, who was the first master distiller of Jack Daniel. Nearest Green, basically, as soon as slavery ended in 1865, Jack Daniel had grown up with this older slave. He's like, "Hey, you want to come work for me? You can
I'll pay you now.
I'll be the Jobs, you be the Wozniak."
Let's go. I mean, it's like tough for people to admit because I think it almost sounds like if you say it, it's like like you're like kind of tacitly endorsing slavery or like saying slavery wasn't that bad, but like these are human beings. Obviously,
Relationships.
You're going to
were built.
develop
right?
something.
Yeah, like it's just like it doesn't
Just
mean
naturally being around somebody
yeah,
that long.
Yeah, like it doesn't mean slavery's good, but like they're humans.
They were forced to be with each other. A friendship came out of it.
Right,
It
yeah.
Or at least
happens
a
at
working.
work right now, right? Like you develop a relationship with the people you work with.
yeah.
For better or worse. But during this period, Bass requested permission to learn to read from George, which was denied. Like,
Yeah, that's slave owning 101. That's too much power.
Yeah, right.
however, George was like, I can't teach you how to read. That's too dangerous. But I will teach you how to fire a gun.
Perfect. Like a slave that can read, that's a lot. But an illiterate gun owner,
Yeah.
love that.
I'll teach you how to
love that.
man a deadly weapon.
Can I give an alternate theory on this? Is that it's easier to teach someone to shoot a gun than read? And George was like, God, I don't want to do school.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a gun.
Yeah.
Because I already dread like having to help my kids with their homework. So like, yeah, I kind of get like just being like, God, I don't want to teach you how to fucking.
But
read.
you know how to, you know your way around a firearm. Yeah. And so will they.
Bass excelled right from the jump, and George would actually enter him into shooting competitions and pocket the prize money.
Well,
What's the point of having a slave if you can't put him into athletic competition and, and pocket everything?
does the dog in the Kennel Classic or whatever cash the check? No, it's the fucking owner. And that's how they looked at
Because
them.
the dogs can't read.
Yeah.
Once the Civil War breaks out, George was commissioned as a colonel in the 11th Texas Cavalry. Bass would go with him as a body servant and help out with maintaining the Confederate camps.
That's when all those guys that are weirdly try to justify certain things, when they're like, well, there were a lot of blacks in the Confederate Army. I'm like, yes, they were following their masters around.
Right.
They're shining shoes,
You think like they get back
digging ditches.
they get back from a battle and they're like, we won! It was a glorious day! And every slave's like, yay, you did it.
Like,
so,
God damn it, you came back.
so happy for you.
That was until one fateful day when him and George were playing a game of poker. A little crazy late night game of poker. They get into an argument, and Bass knocks his owner out cold.
That's a death sentence.
Kind of got to just roll at that point.
Apparently, I guess the soldiers around didn't see it. So he's like, I need to hightail out of here. So he makes a run for it. He's like, all right, I just knocked out my boy. No one's really going to defend me here. I got to leave.
So this was while they were deployed?
Yeah, this is during the Civil War.
Well, at least, hopefully, there's some Union lines nearby, right? You don't need to make a trek.
Yeah.
You don't need to make a trek across
They're
5
also
states.
looking for help.
Yeah. But like the point is, like a lot of slaves that escaped, like if you escape from a Georgia plantation, you got a long way to go.
Better to go to Indian territory, actually,
Okay.
turns out. So knowing George's soldiers would not take kindly to seeing their colonel unconscious at the feet of his slave, Bass makes a run for it and ventures into Oklahoma and Kansas.
How old was he at this time, out of curiosity?
During the Civil War, he was born in 1938.
Oh, okay. So
He's pretty young. He's
Early
in his 20s
20s?
still, yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah.
There he comes across the Cherokee, the Creek, and Seminole nations, learning their customs, languages, and tracking skills.
And from what I understand, not with necessarily all native populations, but a lot of tribes were pretty open to having black guys show up and kind of
As long as they're not
assimilating.
the white man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of goes off the map during this time, and not much is known about his 1860s. But after the war was over and he was a free man, he returned to Arkansas to farm with another former slave that he took as his wife, Ginny. And they're now 4 kids that he pumped into her.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow. Good. Right off the bat. Rob numbers.
I mean, you look at that stash, and it's like, she was probably pregnant just looking at him.
Yeah.
Like an immediate, like, Boom.
And mustaches they weren't probably as popular as beards were back then, right?
They're pretty pop. I mean, like Chamberlain had a good, similar to yours.
He had a good brush, yeah.
But most people did have, I think, beards over mustaches.
What was Ambrose Burnside? Would you classify that as a mustache or a beard?
Ooh, mustache.
The side
Because it
Ambrose
went-
Burnside, yeah.
It was just the longest mustache on earth.
But typically mustaches don't connect with the sideburns.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a good debate.
Beard or mustache? I think if it's not on the chin, you can't call it a beard.
Okay, so it can connect then with the sideburns.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it doesn't touch chin, I don't know. I don't think that counts.
All right, fair enough.
1870, he started making some side cash as a scout tracker for the US Marshal's office with his knowledge and connections in the Indian Territory. He turned that into a full-time gig in 1875 when the hanging judge, Isaac Parker, was appointed for the native territory. Parker appointed James F. Fagan as U.S. Marshal with 200 deputies under him.
Damn.
It's a big territory,
Yeah, that's just a lot of deputies
and there's a lot of bad dudes here.
in Oklahoma.
In that, it's the Wild West. It's Oklahoma, it's Kansas,
Okay,
Dodge City.
that whole area. Yeah.
Even the law enforcement of that day were a little gray in the good guy arena.
including Reeves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not because he was breaking any like moral things, but like they would take things on the side, and
And also, it was pretty much a Judge Dredd situation.
you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, like you're kind of judge, jury, and executioner a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like, there's not how many horse thieves got a jury trial?
Well, and because because they all operated in gangs, so if you take them alive, you run the risk of their gang coming to get you.
Yeah.
And try to free them.
So Fagan was wildly impressed with the stories he heard about Bass, and Reeves became one of the first black deputies to serve the west of the Mississippi River. There were a couple of others, but he's by far the most prominent. There was an initial...
He's like that sheriff of Milwaukee that's on Fox News all the time.
Yeah.
Really
yeah, just the
big brand name.
Does he
That's
have
modern Bass Reeves, certainly.
Doesn't he have like a Reevesian mustache too?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he does.
He probably bases his entire appearance
he
on Bass Reeves.
probably does. Yeah.
Well, and he's all decked out like he's freaking Horatio Hornblower with all the
He's got
military
the
medals. And
General
all that.
Patton,
Yeah.
like fucking. What do you call that? The
ribbons,
Yeah,
a stack.
yeah.
Now, there was an initial speed bump when Bass was arrested and charged for a non-job related assault with an intent to kill, but he was found not guilty in April of 1875 and went about his business.
Fucking qualified immunity, man.
Who was the jury of his peers? Other ex-slaves or other cops?
He didn't do shit. Yeah.
I think Isaac Parker, like every time he gets brought up on charges, Isaac Parker, who's the judge of the entire territory, who's essentially his boss, just lets him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no internal
So
affairs.
was that like his? Sorry.
Yeah, there's no internal affairs in this deputy program.
Nah.
Was
they
this-
like you. They're like, let's just keep doing your job.
Yeah.
Was this guy like his mentor?
Not Parker, but maybe Fagan was a little bit. Fagan was the marshal that hired him, but Judge Isaac Parker also liked him, and he was known as the hanging judge.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real unprofessional quick. I'm going to go. I saw some Lucy's over there. I got to have.
Go grab
I
'em.
gotta have
There's
the
someone
Nick.
on the
grab
desk
'em.
over there.
Oh, I
too.
got to have the Nick right now.
Yeah, gotta get some nicotine in you. That's fine, especially when we're talking about the Wild West.
Hell yeah. That's why I tossed one in before the show.
Now, the old saying back in that time was there was no Sunday west of St. Louis and no God beyond Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I like that. I need to just like get that on a throw pillow in my home. There's no Sunday west of St. Louis.
Just get that tattooed on your arm.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a hard-ass quote.
That is a hard ass quote.
And no God beyond Fort Smith.
Which, by the way, Fort Smith, not very far west.
No. Either St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly. Fort
Well,
Smith is it's
back then that was it. Once you went over that river, you were good luck, everybody.
Yeah, no joke. Fort Smith is like where Fayetteville is.
Mm-hmm. So the territory that the United States court at Fort Smith covered was about 75,000 square miles. It's a big old land.
Yeah.
The capture of a wanted man or woman, dead or alive, is obviously how he was compensated for his work. They would also get money for miles traveled and reimbursed for any money they spent feeding the criminals.
Okay.
Not a bad gig,
Yeah.
other than danger.
Yeah, other than you might die.
Going after, murderers.
And this was not a job for the weak, obviously. Only about 25% of non-natives in the territory were law-abiding citizens. Indian Territory is where you went to disappear and start over.
Hell yeah. But also, I don't know that it's great that you pay police on commission. Like your pay, like a lot. Your entire pay is based on commission and your own, like, you know how people abuse like a company credit card when they're traveling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's just how they're paying these guys.
I got the paperwork.
Yeah. I got all the receipts. Everything you need right here.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly as much in modern policing.
What if we let just cops only be black?
Although, doesn't it?
Well, that's Atlanta.
The old Daniel Tosh joke.
Yeah.
Doesn't it fly, though? I mean, that you have like speeding ticket quotas and shit like that.
Yeah, I think every municipality is different, but that does seem to be a thing.
It's allegedly not a thing. It is, but they say it's not. In the 2 decades that Isaac Parker was judge, over 100 deputies were killed in the line of duty. In total, today, about 300 deputies have died since the inception of the US Marshal's office. So about a third of these deaths went down in these 2 decades in that territory alone.
Good Lord. So, I mean, they're just going after like psychotic criminals.
Yeah, and like you guys always say, you can kill a cop and just move a couple counties over, and you're good.
Shave your mustache off.
Yeah.
You can become the sheriff.
Yeah.
There was a point in the journey known as the Deadline, marked by a railroad track about 80 miles west of Fort Smith, where outlaws would actually leave notes and threats calling out deputies by name, like Bass Reeves.
Oh, so they'd write there like, "Hey, Bass Reeves, I'm gonna shoot you in the face."
This is coming out of post-Civil War Missouri, where you want to talk about a state, and I think you guys have covered this before. You want to talk about a state that didn't play by the rules of war. Like, it would have been shit happens in war, but it would have been unconceivable for Lee or Grant to kill civilians and stuff like that. Where in Missouri, these were like blood vendettas. These people were getting into.
They were basically
like
like
terrorism.
There were like 2 simultaneous civil wars happening in Missouri. There was the normal civil war with troops and divisions and generals and stuff like that, because Missouri had the 3rd most battles in it. After Tennessee and Virginia. Those were the 2 states with the most battles. Missouri had the 3rd most battles. But there was that side of it. And then there was also an entire guerrilla war going on. With
Terrorism.
Like literally just terrorism. Yeah. Literally. From hashtag both
And
sides.
those guys needed to do something after the war too. So I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to go work at a steel mill or something.
No.
You know?
They weren't moving up to Chicago for the economic opportunity.
No, not doing
I mean, we even covered the fucking Utah Mormon wars.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter where you went west. Like, it was just open season.
There were no rules.
No. Other than his vast knowledge of the land, his ability to speak multiple native languages, and being an absolute deadeye with his firearms, Bass was also a large man for his time, standing at 6'2", and it was often noted how big his fucking hands were. His pawls.
And guns were tiny back then.
Yeah.
He probably was like, had his mitts over the entire gun. That'd be like, how like Shaq's the volunteer, he does the volunteer
Deputy,
law enforcement.
yeah.
Can you imagine domestic disturbance call and Shaq shows up through your front door? That's probably what it was like Bass Reeves walking around.
Good order too.
Author D.C. Gideon, who interviewed Reeves, wrote, "His long, muscular arms have attached to them a pair of hands that would be comparable to a giant, and they handle the revolver with ease and grace somehow."
So basically, he's like one of the, like when you see like in the NFL draft, they like show a receiver's hands. Like the guy's already big, you know what I mean? But then they show the hands, and they belong to a man that's like twice his size.
I mean, you get in a fist fight with this guy, it's like getting hit by concrete.
Yeah, he just grabs your head actually, and is just like
Squashes it.
Yeah.
Always wearing a large hat, Reeves was usually a spiffy dresser, with his boots polished to a gleaming shine. He was known for his politeness and courteous manner, but he also was a good time that would wisecrack jokes and could hold his own with a bottle of whiskey or two.
I mean, he's 6'2". He should be able to take it down pretty decent.
Like Andre the Giant.
He developed a way to ride his horses to appear much smaller and would often disguise himself as a preacher, farmhand, even an outlaw.
That makes sense at the time, too, because it's like, well, I can't be a US Marshal. He's black.
Yeah. A black sheriff?
Yeah.
I mean, but then once you kind of get a reputation, you're like, oh, that's fucking Bass Reeves.
Right. Eventually, they're like, oh, fuck, it's a black guy on a horse.
With a big mustache.
Yeah, shit.
It was very identifiable. Like, he was not hiding very well. Well, it can't be Bass Reeves. He got a collar on.
Yeah.
That's the preacher.
No, that's just that giant preacher that we heard
With
about.
calluses all over his hand.
Yeah, and a gun.
His weapons of choice were the Winchester models 1873 and 1892.
Fuck yeah, lever action, motherfucker.
He also briefly used the 1873 Colt single-action 45 caliber Peacemaker. By protocol, Bass could not venture into the territory alone. Most of these manhunts involved entire posses of deputies, scouts, guards, cooks, and it was required that Bass had at least one other man with him during his travels. A typical round trip would be around 800 miles, and they would often haul back multiple outlaws at a time in their covered wagons.
That would be such a good period buddy cop series. The black marshal, the white marshal, and all the adventures, all the silly adventures they get on.
It's kind of Django, right?
They did
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah.
Well, I was with the Django, but they did that also. If like in a true like wacky comedy, this and he's a black guy. But Shanghai Noon.
Oh, yeah.
They're like buddy cops, but in the West with karate.
Yeah.
And then you just like
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
you
could
just turn on the money printing machine at that point.
do a Bass Reeves kind of buddy cop with one of his Indian scouts.
Yeah.
Hit all the quotas. Check the boxes.
They did make a Bass Reeves
Which is-
show.
They did.
Basically the Lone
just came out on
Ranger
what,
at that
like
point.
Paramount Plus?
Yeah, wasn't it with it's with that actor who rules? He's from Westworld.
I
the black
watched the
dude, I
first
think, right?
couple episodes. It was pretty good.
I thought it was with
I
that
got
guy.
naturally sidetracked, but it was. I should pick it up.
So I actually came across this topic because I was watching The Harder They Fall on Netflix, the 2021 Western with Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors.
Was
Lakeith
Idris
Stanfield.
Elba playing Bass Reeves?
No, he played Rufus Buck.
Did
Okay,
Majors play Bass Reeves?
Nope.
Oh.
He played Nat Love. The guy that played
that's an ex-slave name right there. Nat Love.
Delroy Lindo played Bass Reeves.
Okay.
Who you would know
Yeah.
by his face.
Oh,
right?
actually,
It's like
you
a character actor.
It's such a and it happens with obviously no shortage of white. It happens with white actors as well, but there's so many black British actors that are playing iconic American figures, and I'm all for an actor doing an actor, but it's just sometimes like this role is for an American to play.
Dude, do you want to talk about immigrants stealing jobs?
British acters?
Yeah,
Oh my god. I didn't even know Idris Elba was British until like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed with the movie, honestly.
What? Oh, that?
It had, it was a loaded cast. It kind of fell short.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
It was David Owelu, or however you say it, who played Bass Reeves in the Taylor Sheridan show,
Mhm.
actually.
But then I was like, Bass Reeves is a bad motherfucker. I need to look into this guy.
yeah.
Bass's personal record at a time was 17 men. So he hauled up 17 men and took them back.
That's probably not even counting people he probably killed.
Yeah. Since Reeves could not read or write, he would
Oh,
have...
still.
He learned different Indian languages, but still didn't learn to read or write.
Fuck that, dude. Who cares?
At this point.
Yeah.
At this point.
He's gotten this far. He would have somebody read him the warrants, and he would memorize the contents in which the warrant had on it. When asked to produce the warrant, he never failed to pick the correct one. So he at least memorized which was which.
Okay.
Wow.
Feels like reading would have been easier at that
Probably.
point. Yeah. Just memorize the alphabet, dude.
On one occasion, Reeves pursued two outlaws in the Red River Valley near the Texas border. He and the other men set up camp about 28 miles from where the outlaws were believed to be hiding, at their mother's home. After studying the terrain and devising a plan, Reeves disguised himself as a drifter and arrived at the house wearing worn shoes, dirty clothing, carrying a cane, and had a little floppy hat on top.
Bit of an actor himself.
Yeah. He told the woman who answered the door that his feet were aching after being pursued by a posse who had put 3 bullet holes in his hat. After asking for a bite to eat, she invited him in, and while he was eating, she began to tell him of her 2 outlaw sons, suggesting that the 3 of them should join forces.
With a hobo?
Well, he's not a hobo, but he's like an outlaw of sorts.
He had a cane. He's an old rickety hobo as far as she knows. Like, he's just like, oh, my feet hurt. I could barely walk. She's like, you look good enough. You should join my outlaw sons. They're criminals.
You could be the getaway driver.
Or the fall guy,
Yeah.
The three came inside, and she introduced her sons to Reeves. After discussing their crimes, the trio agreed that joining would be a good idea. Now, they bunkered down in the same room. Reeves observed the pair as they fell asleep, and as they snored deeply, handcuffed the two without waking them up. When early morning approached, he kicked the boys awake and marched them out the door. For the first 3 miles, their mother followed, cursing Reeves out the entire time.
I'm certain there was a certain word she was using in that process.
One imagines it was used liberally
Yeah.
in that 3 mile walk.
I mean, you can be a single mom from Minnesota and use it. I mean, shoot.
God.
Yeah.
Is
That
that,
was
is that legit? Like, that lady's just making money, just printing money saying that?
She got like a big GoFundMe.
Yeah.
I don't believe any of these GoFundMes anymore. Are they washing money? What's happening? Like,
Wait, that would be a great way to wash money. You're like, you just got to go viral.
Well, I saw a great meme about that. I don't know. I think I sent it to you guys, but
You sent it to me, yeah.
yeah. It's the me and my black friend. It's got the scene from Scarface
Yep.
where they're counting all
Printing
the money.
money.
Yeah.
And the two drug lords are talking to me and my black friend after I call him the N-word.
On a
and
video.
he records me calling
Yeah.
him the N-word.
yeah, I don't know about that. I just, something's off.
Nah, she just seemed like a piece of white trash.
There's that, but I don't know
What's
how
going to
she's
happen
making
is
all
she's
this
going
money.
to get that money and she is going to blow through that fast.
Uh,
She's not investing that money.
First off, I don't think she realizes the taxes that are about to hit her. That's basically like lottery
She's going to
taxes.
prison.
Yeah. Plus,
for
she's
evading
in
taxes.
Minnesota, which is one of the highest state income
Yep.
taxes in the country.
Oh, is it? Yeah, she's 60% of that money's gone already. And if she doesn't know how to, that's not going into a 401k or an IRA or
Twitter and social media are just kind of stoking the race war flames.
she's buying a Land Rover tomorrow.
Yeah. But it is crazy, though. The rest of the country doesn't. There's a certain population on Twitter that they live on Twitter so much they really think the rest of the world thinks like them and is concerned about the same things they are.
Their brain is broken, yes.
Yes,
because
their brain
that's
is broken
such a
by
small
that specific app.
percentage of the population.
Yeah, most people just don't give a shit. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like, okay.
Apathy is
Sounds
the
like-
answer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure most people they hear about they're like, okay, sounds like an asshole, but I got
Whatever.
things I got to worry about.
I don't care. I don't care if, like, yeah, what a bitch. I guess you shouldn't have done that. I don't care.
It's all rage bait.
Yeah,
really.
I don't
Yeah.
care about that, though. I don't care that she got a bunch of money. Like, I don't. What do you mean to be angry about?
Right. If you just get swooped up in the rage bait,
Could you believe this?
it's going to consume you.
That's why I feel bad when I see, like, people who that's their full-time job. I'm just like, you're not happy.
No.
You're not a happy person. There's no fucking way.
So he marched these two 28 miles to camp where his wagon was waiting. The outlaws were delivered to the authorities within days, and Bass collected a $5,000 reward.
Which that is good, though.
Oh, he was banking. He was cashing checks. One of the high points of Reeves' career was apprehending notorious outlaw Bob Dozier. Dozier eluded Reeves for several months until the lawman tracked him down in the Cherokee Nation. After refusing to surrender, Reeves killed Dozier in a gunfight on December 20th, 1878.
Were the natives around there willing to cooperate with law enforcement, or would they hide these guys out? Or
Depends.
Probably chill
Reeves
with
had a lot
Bass.
of connections,
Yeah.
though. Like he
yeah,
had established this for.
I mean, if you can speak another
decades.
person's language, you get instant street
Cred,
cred right
yeah.
off the bat.
Also,
yeah.
my guess too is that, like, okay, those guys were hiding out in Indian lands or whatever, which are kind of probably sparse, right? Like, they're just, the Indians are also living there and they're doing their thing, whatever. And, like, yeah, they might not want, like, the white, like, law enforcement or whatever come in, but, like, it's an easy pitch from Bass Reeves or anyone else. Like, look, dude, like, do you want this psycho, like, living in your
amongst
area?
you in the caves.
Like, you
Yeah.
what? He's a criminal, but he's not going to do criminal things to you.
Yeah,
The people no one cares about. Like, you want us to get this guy off your fucking land.
yeah, that
So
makes
it
sense.
seems like a good pitch.
yeah.
Another bit of a speed bump came in 1887 when Reeves was charged with murdering one of his cooks. Reeves claimed that he shot the man by mistake after cleaning his gun.
It
A guy?
happens.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And people who are the most experienced firearms people on earth, man, it can happen even with the most experienced people with
This
firearms.
is a great reason to have Jack on the show because you were shot.
I was shot by an inexperienced person with firearms.
See, that's where I was going to go too. I was going to go the other way and be like, see, that's bullshit. I don't know anyone who's been shot while cleaning a gun.
Oh man, yeah. 3 tours and no Purple Hearts.
I'm gonna find a Purple Heart at a thrift store and give it to you.
Yeah, that'll be our goal.
Yeah.
I found some fatigues. I was about to buy them, Still Valor.
Should we go to an army surplus until we find a Purple Heart?
Oh, they sell them there for sure.
We can get one on eBay, certainly.
Yeah, they still allegedly.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
Is this true, actually? That because I've heard this story before that they haven't made them since 45.
That is what I've heard as well,
Because they
that
were-
the anticipated casualties for the invasion of Japan were so high that from Korea, Vietnam, all the shit in the 80s, the 20 years of the global war on terror, we were still using Purple Hearts that were made from World War
And
II.
by the way, all of the casualties from all of those wars, wounded and dead, is less than what we anticipated the casualty count being for Japan.
Yeah.
Like it is. I mean, global war on terror, for example, obviously like a tough fucking fight, but I mean, how many people died in Afghanistan and Iraq? Americans, like
Well,
5,000,
The
6,000?
the KIA to wounded in action ratio is very unique in American history because medical technology has gotten so well that there were a shitload of wounded, but they were surviving wounds that would have killed them 40, 50 years
Right,
ago.
right.
So the KIA, yes, considering how long the war was, is considerably low. But if you were operating off the same technology as in, let's say, Vietnam, there would have been 3-4 times the
Honestly,
KIA.
the same technology as in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, I don't know what their combat life-saving procedures are, but I can't imagine it's up to par with
I mean,
America's.
both countries have lost 6 figs in deaths, which is insane.
Yeah,
That-
and medicine plays a huge role in that.
yeah.
Now, do you believe that he was cleaning his gun and accidentally misfired, killing this guy, this cook, when they had gotten into a previous altercation?
Oh, so it wasn't their first
Mm-mm.
the first whoopsie daisy with each
No.
other.
And it was like right before this.
I mean, no.
Well, he has
I
been
think-
known to beat his slave masters before.
So no loyalty.
Well, hear us out here. So Reeves allegedly got into an argument with the cook and confronted the cook after the cook killed a puppy
That pissed me off too.
that Reeves had started to grow an attachment to.
He killed the puppy
Yeah, that cook needed to go.
for food?
Everyone's let's all be clear. Everyone's on Bass Reeves' side at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my I haven't watched The
Was his
Sopranos,
cook? Did they pick him up in San Francisco from one of those boats coming in by any chance? Former railroad worker by any chance?
No race mentioned.
I mean, the amount of this is another thing about the past that I love. So I always talk about this on the show all the time about how human life was like worthless in the past. You know what I mean? Is as evidenced by the fact, like I said earlier, we were just hanging horse thieves without a trial, hanging them.
Yeah.
A horse thief. Imagine if today someone caught you stealing a fucking Kia, and they were like, "Well," and just fucking yanked you down from a low beam in a sheriff's office. Like no trial, nothing. It's death penalty. But what
I
people
bet less cars get stolen.
maybe a lot of horses got stolen. But the other thing about that is like if you think humans didn't give a fuck about humans, then just imagine everything below a human. Like people were like assholes to animals, to dogs in particular.
I just actually wrote an episode on the 2 dogs that were tried and hung during the Salem witch trials.
Oh, nice.
And cats went on trial too.
Mm-hmm.
All got acquitted.
They're sneaky like that.
Yeah. Well, you know cats. They would. A dog is the type of animal that would be okay with a public defender, or cats would be like, I need to invest in a good lawyer.
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a guy in like the 1300s that claimed to be the true king of England, and they eventually hung him, but he blamed his cat, and they also hung the cat.
Yeah.
I forget, it was like John Dredas or something.
Because
did an episode on
He
him.
was switched at birth thing, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lopped off his ear.
Oh, which I kind of buy.
We did it on Patreon, so check that out. It was a while ago, but Patreon.com/softcore history. So Bass is tried before Judge Isaac Parker, his boy. United States Attorney W.H.H. Clayton, also a friend, represented him. And in the end, Reeves was acquitted. It's good to know the judge.
Yeah.
He's like the John Gotti of the Wild West.
So I like what's even the defense there? So you were in the kitchen with this man.
No, they're out literally on the frontier.
Oh, okay.
This was them, like, next to their wagon.
Okay. I'm imagining like back at the sheriff's office.
No, dude,
or
we're talking
marshal's office.
out in the Wild West.
Okay, then yeah, that's totally plausible.
Misfired his gun. They got into an argument. Could have been about the dog. And also there's a little bit of controversy, like if that was even true. Like maybe it was Reeves that was anti-dog and the cook was trying to save the dog. So there's a little bit of this is just a better story for me.
Yeah.
I want this to be clean for Reeves.
I don't even care.
I'm painting a better picture.
Whatever. He did enough good.
I don't want Reeves to be the anti-dog guy.
Yeah.
There's also kind of rumors that he just didn't care for the food the cook was making.
I hope that's what it was. Like, truly.
So, yeah, law enforcement back then was definitely operating in the gray area as far as their moral compass.
You have to.
And at this point,
Yeah.
he's indispensable, right? Like he's like a detective who's caught 20 serial killers.
Wait till you hear his numbers.
Oh, I'm sure they're
And
insane.
the thing is, it's not even like, oh, he's out there getting the bad guys. Like, he's a moneymaker for these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
He's a breadwinner.
Every head he brings in is straight cash, homie. In 1889, after Reeves was assigned to Paris, Texas, he went after Tom Story's gang of horse thieves. He waited along the route that the gang was known to have and used and surprised Tom Story with an arrest warrant. The outlaw panicked and drew his gun, but Reeves drew faster and shot him dead. The rest of the gang disbanded and were never heard from again. In his 3 decades of law enforcement, Bass is credited for nearly 3,000 arrests.
God damn. But he was getting them in bulk.
17 at a
17,
time.
15.
Because, it's like Will Chamberlain sex numbers. It's like, well, yeah, he was doing 10 a night at some time. So, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
it makes sense that he'd achieve the numbers he did.
He only killed between 14 to 20
Oh,
in the line of duty,
okay.
not including the cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not including those. That's just extracurricular.
The possible murder that he did.
Yeah.
So a lot of these outlaws just knew his reputation. We're like, I'm not fucking with this dude.
Dude's a quick draw. He
Yeah.
will kill me.
I'd rather take my chances
What-
with the hangman.
It does show that he probably had a tremendous amount of restraint if that was the only amount of kills that he was involved with.
He's one of the higher kill counts, too, for a deputy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty high. 20 is pretty high.
What are the marshals? Man, that was such an important mission in their history, right? With no shortage of work to do. And now it's just like, oh, this guy escaped county jail. Just go track. He's probably at his mom's house.
It's not a lot.
It's
not
not
the
as
fugitive.
sexy as it used to be.
It's not Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, despite putting his kind of body on the line for all these arrests, he was never wounded, despite having both his hat and belt shot off on separate occasions.
Damn. Never took a stray.
Never took one.
He's quick.
Do you think Mel Brooks loosely based
Yes.
the main character from Blazing Saddles off of him?
Absolutely. I would say Django probably too. Loosely based on.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Well, I mean, I don't know about Brooks, but Tarantino's definitely like well read into history.
Yeah. Both of them. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence because this is like the only famous black US Marshal in the West, right?
A couple others, but yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
There are some big black heavyweights, but everybody knows Jack Johnson
Yeah.
because he loved white women.
Now, he tracked and killed notorious outlaw Jim Webb, who had murdered over 11 people. Reeves,
That's a serial killer
Yep.
or spree.
We did a whole episode on another guy who
on
was
Hardin.
What?
On Hardin.
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, who was just like, I'm a cowboy. And it's like, no, you're a serial killer.
Yeah,
His name was John Wesley Hardin.
Yeah. And it was just, it was like, he tried to act like.
Relative of my friend Shay.
Yeah. Which she gave you the idea, right?
She gave me the idea.
Yeah. It was a great episode, but it was funny because he was just like, no, I'm just doing Wild West stuff. And it's like, no, you're
a serial killer.
Yeah, you're a serial killer who put on a cowboy hat. Like, that's not the same.
You
dude.
did not need to order that Chinese migrant. You didn't need to murder that Chinese migrant worker right there.
Yeah.
He did not do anything to you.
No.
Reeves also rounded up Wiley Bear along with his gang, which included John Simmons, Sam Lastly. Reeves was in a gunfight with Creek desperado Frank Buck, who he shot and killed. It's just kind of some exploits of his. He also had to arrest his son.
Uh-oh.
He had 11 kids ultimately.
Well,
One of them broke bad.
Damn, those are.
yeah.
One of them broke bad and killed his wife.
Killed his wife? Like his son's
So
son's
he
wife.
killed his
Yeah.
daughter-in-law.
And he had to go cuff him.
Had to cuff him.
The
So-
crazy thing is, like, nowadays, there's plenty of, there's, depending on the size of the community, there's other cops to do that, but it sounds like he was the guy in the area. Nobody else was going to be put on that job.
So he captures his son, Benny, and he serves 11 years at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas before he was released and lived the rest of his life as a model citizen.
Got a sweet deal. Because, again, if he had stolen a horse,
See, all he did was kill his wife.
yeah.
And then your dad
Well, they couldn't
is-
vote, so are they real?
Exactly.
Women couldn't even vote. They're not. That doesn't really make them human, really.
Sounds like he got a benefit of his dad being Bass Reeves
Yeah.
and turning himself in, really.
Oh, he turned himself in.
They kind of met halfway.
He didn't put up a fight.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was aware of his dad's reputation too.
They do tell you that if you're getting arrested for anything even semi-serious, the more compliant you are, the better chances you have of not being completely fucked.
Reeves' wife also dies at some point, like in the late 90s of
Yeah.
1800s.
She gave him 11 kids. At that
Yep.
point, what's the point?
He remarries, and then
Young?
when Oklahoma becomes a state in 1907, Reeves, then 68, became an officer of the Muskogee Police Department. He served there for 2 years.
Muskogee?
Muskogee, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you drive through Oklahoma, the amount of unpronounceable cities and towns
Yeah,
you see.
because it's not some tribe that's indigenous to Oklahoma. It's 20 tribes that are from Florida and Georgia that's not even their native land.
No, they got driven there.
It is
Yeah.
just every the exit is which gibberish word? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Well, it's like I'm from Minnesota and there's a lot of Ojibwe and Lakota words, but those are the only two players on the block in that state, right? So you
Right.
just get used to pronouncing them. But Oklahoma is like there was like so many different tribes that were pushed into that
Which
area.
are different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He serves there for 2 years before he becomes ill and retires. Ultimately, he dies January 12th, 1910, at the age of 71. Lived a good life.
For that time? Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
And considering the circumstances he was born into.
Yeah.
Slavery.
He goes from,
Well, friendship.
a piece of property to one of the most, notable names of the time.
Easily a top 10 Wild West figure, I would say.
Top 1 mustache.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it before.
I'll just remind you. I mean, it's fantastic.
I mean, I always want to be
He
reminded.
kind of looked like a black G. Gordon Liddy.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's a good ass stash. He's a
6'2".
good looking
Now,
guy.
can I see it
He's
again?
good
Can I
looking.
see-
Yeah, he's a great looking guy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He, by the way, show me that picture again. Looks a decent amount like Ryan Reeves too.
Yeah. It's genetics, man.
Yeah.
What was it? Is like his great grandfather?
Yeah, it's I think great.
Okay. And there's probably still some DNA clinging on at that level.
I think it clings on longer than you think. I think if you went back in time 150 years and saw your relatives, you'd be like, "Whoa!"
I'll show my great grandfather was the mayor of Minneapolis, so his picture is very well documented. There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, when you have kids, like I just look at all, especially Rory's my oldest, so and for whatever reason he looks a lot like me, and I'll just look at him sometimes and be like, I'm just raising myself.
That's what all parents say. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is just fucking weird.
His great-great-grandson, Willard Reeves, plays football in the CFL,
Okay.
Canadian Football League.
Did he play college in America?
I'm assuming he's probably American.
Yeah.
Probably from Oklahoma. Is he from Oklahoma?
He probably just wasn't good enough to make the NFL.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but yeah, Ryan Reeves is his great-great-grandson
Yeah.
as well.
Ryan Reeves is G, still playing, I believe, for the Leafs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still in the playoffs right now.
He's an enforcer.
Yes, he's one of the best hockey fighters I've seen this century. Obviously, the hockey fighters used to be way better, like Tony Twist.
Well,
and
there used to be a lot more of them. Too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But Reeves is one of the few left that is like a legit. He's there to fuck people up, and he's fun. Like he's a fun ass dude.
The reason why I asked if he was a black, obviously I knew Bass Reeves was black, but the reason why I asked if he was a black guy or a white guy is we see it numerous times in American families where Thomas Jefferson, for example, he has a completely black side wing of his descendants and these aren't like mixed interracial looking people. If you're a descendant of Thomas Jefferson, you're either completely white or completely black.
Well, actually, the daughter of I think Sally Hemings, that was his, and he completely freed.
And Sally Hemings was only half black.
No, she was a quarter black.
Quarter? Oh, wow.
Yeah. She was so passable that they had no problem like freeing her, and like she looked white.
And that's all that mattered, right? Of course, they had that one drop policy, but if you were passable, you were just good. You were good.
Yeah. And allegedly, I think it was his daughter. Maybe it was his granddaughter, but she was like just looked white. So they were like, "Yeah, you're probably fine. I'll free you and go out into the world, have a good time."
Don't tell your husband.
Yeah, I actually did not realize that until we did an episode on who did we do it on? I forget what it was, but all the Hemings stuff was in there, and I did not realize that Sally Hemings was a quadroon, as I believe they call it.
That was your episode.
She was more white than black.
Yes.
It was a Patreon episode about Thomas Jefferson's brother.
Oh yeah. Who was like kind of a piece of shit.
Just like the party.
Yeah. TJ had a.
Every president has to have that brother or child that gives them headaches with the headlines.
TJ had a sort of like Roger Clinton, Hunter Biden brother, essentially.
And you were trying to blame him for actually what TJ did?
Oh, there is theories or whatever that they were TJ's brother's kids and not his.
Well, the dad was fucking the slaves too. They were all sharing
Sally
those
Hemings,
slaves.
I believe, was banged by Sally Hemings' mom was banged by Jefferson's dad.
Yeah, like Jefferson learned that behavior from his dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the numbers on that. I don't know if all slave owners were doing that, if that was like a common thing, or maybe certain states they did it more.
I think it was pretty common.
Yeah.
Well, that's our episode on Bass Reeves, though. What'd you guys learn?
The numbers were really surprising to me. I knew he was a badass, but I only had the cliff notes. Those numbers are, and it, obviously became a very wealthy man.
3,000 arrests. You're getting like a couple grand.
3,000 arrests over how many years?
30.
30? Okay. Damn. That's a shit ton.
Yeah.
Like every year. That man just
He had a long storied career.
grind culture. Yeah, I didn't know the numbers. Like I kind of thought he was like obviously badass, but like more so maybe like a Wyatt Earp situation where he had a couple of like hyper badass
gunfights.
Incidents that made him badass. But no, this guy was
Longevity.
Consistent.
grind culture. Yeah.
The Emmett Smith of his time. Just stacking numbers. Yeah, is he a kind of manipulator with the numbers? Because he was just around for so long.
Yeah, but the best ability is availability.
Never got shot. That's crazy.
So here's the thing. That is where you reconcile, was he just a stat compiler with was he skilled, is that he never got hit. So it was beyond stat compiling. This was a skilled man.
Mm-hmm. And he's a big target, 6'2".
Yeah, no joke.
Big muscular guy that farmed, huge hands.
Yeah, that's how he was quick. Those fucking hands just handled the whole fucking gun. Little tiny hand boy, just like.
It's crazy too when you think about too. White people back then probably didn't have. Well, I guess it'd be depending on the situation, but they probably didn't have the inherent, the fear of the menacing black man thing that eventually came around. Like they were used to overpowering black people.
Right.
So they probably didn't have a fear of him
that's
just based on his color.
Psychologically, they would have been more like,
I could take this guy.
Let's just get racist. It'd be more like the way you would view an Asian guy today, right? Where you're just like, they're harmless.
Yeah, which obviously isn't the case all the time, but
Right,
it's
of course
all
not,
based
but-
off a stereotype.
Right.
Who's today's Hitler besides Rob for dropping that right there?
Yeah,
I'm just comparing.
I was waiting to see where
It's
you went with it.
racist to say that Asian men are non-threatening because they could be.
They know Muay Thai.
An Asian guy could fuck you up just with a gun. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, generally,
If you go to the California prisons, there's a lot of Asian dudes in there.
I
They're
wouldn't-
gangbangers
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Say that to the Yakuza.
I wouldn't, because the Yakuza is the second scariest mafia, behind the Russian mafia.
Oh, wow. Really disrespecting the Italians.
Italians have good historical muscle. I don't think they're as powerful as they used
That's
to be.
prevalent.
No, and also, I'm most scared of any mafia that could potentially sell you a nuke, which was a thing in the 90s.
Oh yeah, with the Russians. Yeah.
With the USSR collapse, there were nukes on the black market.
Yeah.
So, Russian mafia, scariest by far.
Okay. Who's your Hitler?
That is a question I was dreading. Right. I guess you know what, the institution of slavery is my Hitler.
Not a bad answer. His guy was not too bad, taught him how to shoot his gun.
I mean, there's different classes of slaves.
I guess he liked him enough to keep his last name. Reeves.
Oh yeah,
just-
didn't bother changing the last
It
name.
was just common practice. At that point, it's like,
I get that.
I don't want to.
Too much paperwork.
Yeah, it's like when you get divorced women, they're like, I'll just keep whatever this asshole gave me.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, you really want to change that many documents? Like, you have a mortgage and shit. You're just like, I can't do this. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
This divorce is already terrible enough. I can't do anything else. But I mean, yeah, if you're like a valet, like doing like non-hard labor shit as a slave, like it's a better life than the field guys. It's not good. Obviously, you'd rather be free, but that's probably how he got his sense of style. All that stuff. Like, he grew up in a nice house.
Yeah.
Clearly. So,
State legislators.
yeah.
When I think of wealthy Southern slave, antebellum era, slave owners, I think of like Georgia, South Carolina, the Carolinas,
Yeah.
Virginia, obviously.
Yeah. Not
When
so
it starts getting to like Mississippi and Arkansas,
yeah.
I'm like, were there any bougie slave owners in those places?
Candyland is Mississippi and
I think
Django.
Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
I
all
think
right.
Mississippi and Alabama had it too.
Yeah.
But like, if you talk about like Arkansas, Missouri, Texas,
West Virginia.
Yeah. It's like you probably had one slave. That's all you could afford.
yeah.
My Hitler today is the mother that let a hobo into their house.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And gave up their sons.
Yeah. And we know what word she probably used, which is, that's not
It's
a
a
good
bad
word.
word.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get rich these days.
So I'll say it.
Say it.
And then you start.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I got one thing I want to ask you guys.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to say anymore. Jack ruined it. Jack, go ahead.
No, you say it.
It's not in me anymore.
Yeah.
It was in me for a second.
I'm so sorry. Come on. Just please. I'll feel terrible about this if you don't do it.
Well, you ruined it. I was gonna say it.
All right.
Now I'm not gonna be rich. My kid, I have to pay for my own.
Oh, the word. Don't say it. Say it. Say it. No, I was going to ask you. I don't know if you guys have discussed this yet because it's pretty relatively fresh news. Two Catholic boys. What are you thinking about our new American Pope?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Love him. Have you seen his? He was caught. He was in a crowd shot during the 2005 World Series.
Oh yeah.
He's a Sox fan. We talked about it on our Patreon.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sox fan. How do you feel about that? Knowing he's a fan of one of your big Twins fan.
Well, they're not a threat even to the Twins this season. Well, I've never really had anything to do with Catholicism other than just the understanding certain historical parts of it. But as an American, I'm very proud of it.
This is it's honestly a massive historical event.
Huge. This wasn't like he was one of the front runners, right?
No.
Nobody saw him coming.
No.
He was just Francis's boy.
Yeah,
But like he was totally off the radar. Like you could gamble on who was going to be the next pope. I don't even think he was on the
Not
first
sure he had
page,
odds.
second page.
Wild card win.
yeah. It was completely out of left field. A name I had not heard until he was made pope.
Which is, yeah. But he was one of the bigger Catholic figures in the United States, right?
No, because he did most of his cardinalship and bishop.
in Peru, and then
Yeah, he
That's
was.
right.
He was not.
He's just from Chicago.
Yeah.
He's an American, and he's not. His parents weren't immigrants. His dad was a World War II vet in the Navy and stuff like that. So that was like a rumor going around initially. He was like an immigrant or something like that. Like, no, he's an American. Grew up a White Sox fan, and like was doing. He did serve in the United States. Maybe he was a bishop in the United States, but I can't remember. But he was a priest in the United States for a while.
Yeah.
And then, but once he started climbing the ranks, he was not in America anymore.
went to Villanova. Apparently, fucked someone's mom.
Yeah, there was a reel going viral when the Pope announcement was made of this family that was like, "Oh my God, it's Bob Prevost. Oh my God, my mom's situationship in college is the Pope. My mom hooked up with the Pope."
Well, I mean, obviously they're expected to say celibate while they're.
He was not. He was
yeah,
not in it yet.
That's what I'm
didn't have
saying.
it.
Like people assume these guys are virgins. I'm like, I'm sure. Even the modern popes, quite a few of them banged before
So
they.
Francis was a goddamn bouncer.
Francis, I think,
Oh,
banged.
yeah.
I think Francis banged. Benedict, no. JP2, I don't think so.
Benedict was in Hitler Youth. You don't think they're getting freaky?
I think maybe he got banged. I don't know that. So yeah, technically, Pope Benedict might not have been a virgin.
Yeah. JP?
I think JP.
This is like just again as a non-Catholic, and I'm not. You know, I'm just not. This is like when the American cricket team beat
Yeah.
India or Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I never gave a shit about cricket before, but I had this national pride in me. That's what's going on right now.
Oh, I always get hyped on anything American,
Yeah.
especially when other countries talk shit about us. Like, I will.
We just beat you at your best sport.
Yeah, it's the best.
I have seen actually a lot of, so you know the 100 guys versus a gorilla thing that was going viral? A thing that started going viral right after that was who would win 100 British guys versus 100 Brits versus 100 Americans. And the only people I have seen sharing Americans breaking down how Brits would get roasted by Americans is like my most liberal friends. Like it's always like TikToks and shit that are like, I'm sorry, like I'm not trying to be patriotic, but here's why America would kick the fuck out of British people. And then they're like, and it's like literally all my most.
I'll
liberal
take
friends.
100 dudes that work on an oil rig, and they'll beat the fuck out of anybody that's from England.
You're dumbass.
Now, but what are the rules of that? Because Brits can no guns, obviously.
No, it's
No, it's just fist fight.
Fists only. Oh, okay, it's fair. Now, what Brits do that we don't do, they're headbutters.
Yeah.
They love headbutting.
Nah, we got that in us too.
I've not seen it here as much as I've seen it in the UK.
One of my good friends in college headbutted a dude in the nose in a college bar fight. Broke it immediately.
Oh
Yeah, that's a.
forehead to the nose, you're out.
Yeah.
You're done. But here's the thing: if you
Shouts
miss
to
a
Josh.
headbutt,
You're done.
wide open.
Yeah,
You're wide open.
yeah, yeah. I think advantage Americans on that one.
I think we're bigger. We're just stronger.
I think actually the UK did pass us in obesity.
Like per capita.
Yeah, obviously. Come on, we got numbers.
We're also more aggressive. So apparently, British chicks are kind of at loss right now with the men in England because they won't approach the women. That's why they like American men because they're more aggressive and will actually come up and have a conversation with a girl at the bar.
A lot of that has to do with just our cultural friendliness.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I've heard is because we're a quote unquote melting pot. Like the reason Americans smile more is because there was a language barrier that like people couldn't. There was a cultural barrier where you couldn't like a normal thing an Irishman would do. Like if an Irishman would just be like, "Hey," right, and then another Irish guy might be like, "Hey," back to you, but an Italian might be like, "Hey, what are you doing? I didn't know that."
Yeah.
So they were just like, "Hello."
Yeah.
Hello. The way you are with a baby. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
hi.
I'm just trying to even think of like the top UFC fighters that are from England. Like Paddy's not really.
Bisping. had a
Bisping was
brief-
fine. Like
yeah.
he was probably one of the bigger underdog stories becoming champion.
And they're big boxing. Well, there was Lennox Lewis. He was legit. But like, the big one is the guy. He's like, yeah, he's technically British, but he's a gypsy. They're operating on a different level.
Yeah.
They're not even English yet.
Yeah.
Now we're taking Brits, no problem.
Yes.
No fucking problem.
Get a couple dudes from West Virginia.
Get a couple dudes from Australia. Get a
That
couple.
just have them do meth.
Get a
right
couple.
before.
Fucking townies from Boston who are way too into their Irish pride, fighting Brits.
Even look at our Ivy Leagues, right? Like the Harvard football team is like, look at the Spanish American War, right? Like half the guys in that group amongst all these ragtag crazy people were like Ivy Leaguers who just wanted to get out and scrap.
Yeah. Yeah, well, fucking Ivy League football. When Theodore Roosevelt had to make football safer from all the murders, it was Ivy Leaguers.
Yeah.
That was Ivy League football.
We also just have a bigger pot to pull from.
Yeah, oh yeah.
100
More
dudes.
genetic diversity.
Although I will say that doesn't always mean anything. Otherwise, China'd be doing better in the World Cup. That they can't find 15 soccer players is beyond me.
It's because we have black guys.
They do too. Actually, a British black guy is very cool.
I think our black guys are tougher than British black guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even our Chicago Muslims are tougher than British black guys.
Yeah. I'm taking
Bilal Muhammad
taking
beat
out black guys all
Leon
day.
Edwards, took the belt, and then he just lost the belt to Jack Della. But Aussies will fuck you up.
That's a
Aussies,
tough. That's a
yeah.
tough culture.
Fighting Aussies, although they would have a smaller group to select from, that would be, I think, harder.
But Aussies are all basically Bane. They were born in prison.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Who's the toughest matchup, 100 on 100?
For America?
When it comes to a nation. Canada? Canada's got some tough motherfuckers.
Yeah.
they all know how
They're,
to throw.
they're scrappers.
Did you see the thing that went viral the other day, the golf course fight in Canada?
Mm-hmm. Those are like 60-year-old dudes, too. 50-year-old
Yeah, but
dudes.
Jack, did you see
No,
that?
I haven't
This
seen
was
it.
weeks ago.
Okay, this one guy threw punches, and it was very clear he had fought in hockey many times.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just like these quick, close-in jabs to the face. He broke the guy's jaw, but it was just you could tell it was
Did
a
he
hockey
pull the
fight.
shirt over? Did
He
pull?
didn't, but he got in a way. He got in a position that made it look like a hockey fight.
Yeah.
and he just fucked the other guy up.
Also, they're like, even in the war aspect, Canadians are like the kings of war crimes.
Hell yeah.
Leo Major.
Dude, all sorts of Canadians.
Canadians hate us for that episode
We do get a
Oh,
lot of
why?
because we said Leo Major was a war criminal.
because he went around waving a white flag and then shooting Germans.
Dude,
which is a
dude,
literal
which
war
is-
they
crime.
Kinda
they
sick.
have to have more self-awareness. They, on the Allied side in both world wars, they did the most war crimes. Like, that's a fact.
I didn't know that actually. That's
Oh,
really funny.
yes, that. Well, so when you guys did the show on the Irishman that tried running into Canada,
Yeah.
and eventually the Canadians stuck up to him and started using kind of non-conventional ways.
So
of fight.
Irish Civil War veterans tried to invade Canada, and it actually caused they were doing some work for a little bit there, but it actually caused Canada to kind of revamp their military into what it kind of is now today.
Yeah.
Canadians, historically speaking, do some heavy-duty war crimes on the good guys' side.
Good for them. Good for them. You got to make a mark somehow.
Yeah. So I think they would be a tough matchup, even though they don't really have any good UFC fighters or boxers.
George St. Pierre. Well, he's.
I
not
mean,
around.
GSP is one of the goats, yes,
Yeah.
but he's long gone. That's
Yeah.
one guy.
You know, if you're drawn from the current pool, well, numbers-wise, though, China's gonna be able to pull some badass people out of even India.
India would be a tough matchup just because of their numbers. I don't know. I think we still got it. I think,
I think we
won.
got it. I think no one's taking us.
Yeah, hand to hand. Not even. Yeah, just straight up hand to hand combat.
What about? I mean, Russians?
Russia would be
tougher.
tough.
I think Russia would be tougher than
That's
India
the
and
that's
China.
actually the answer because they have Dagestanis.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was gonna say, and this actually relates to the Dagestani thing a little bit, is like the one thing you're discounting is like, oh, football, hockey, whatever. Wrestling. How many countries is that actually big in?
Yeah, they're
It's us in
phenomenal
Russia.
at it.
Yeah, like wrestling. The two.
Russia didn't even really start their hockey program till like post World War II, right?
Probably not, but they're good
Yeah.
at it.
Oh, they got
But they're
real
not.
good.
They're
at
not
it.
fighters, really. It's
No,
the
no.
Canadians. The Europeans are not fighters. It's the Canadians that are the fighters, and I guess some Americans like Reeves. But like, yeah, the Russians are all just kind of like pace and passing and.
But it is physical.
it's for they are yeah, but
Yeah.
they are more like a beautiful game than Americans and Canadians.
Jack, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Where can the good people find you and your wonderful history show?
Well, I you know, that's the only place you need to go, I feel. I have a history YouTube. It's Jacked History, Jacked History on YouTube. I got about 11 to 15
Doing awesome.
11 to 18 minute episodes.
Yeah,
you
you're
got
doing
what, like
incredible.
40 episodes already?
I'm about to do 20.
Oh, 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I said 38 the other day.
And I, by the way, I do for you what I tell people to do for us, which is I, of course, watch your show. But what I like to do to help you is I leave it on for the dogs.
Just
Thank
the
you.
playlist.
As I'm leaving the house, I'm just like Jacked History playlist.
You and my mother both.
And enjoy dogs.
I appreciate that.
and
Thank
your
you.
kids that are there and your wife.
No, my children would be immediately like, turn it off, please. I'm just like, leave it on. I'm doing work. I'm going to work. You don't appreciate me working.
You want these toys? You want these nice fucking toys?
They're all from Grandma. Shut the fuck up.
She spoils you.
I can cut that pipe off anytime I fucking want.
So check out Jacked History. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/softcorehistory. 2 additional episodes every week, Wednesday, Friday. Get that drop. So much content on that at this point. 3 years of evergreen content.
Mm-hmm.
So plenty of things to help you avoid work and with your commute.
That's what happens is I'm all caught up on the last, I'm basically all caught up in the last year. And so I found myself going back a couple, and I get sad, when Jake's on there.
Yeah.
We had a good thing going. Jake abandoned us.
For nothing.
He's not even an oyster farmer
I know. He's
anymore.
not
You know
farming
that?
oysters
No.
right now.
What's he doing? Working at Applebee's?
He was going to do ghost tours or something in St. Augustine.
Oh, yeah, he might be a ghost tour.
That's there's some dough there, I would imagine.
So we might have to go for spooky season.
live
if he
show.
if he gets that job, we're going to go to St. Augustine and do a live show with Jake
Yeah.
as he does a ghost tour
A
for us.
$1,000,000%. Yeah.
and thank you for the Ted Williams commemorative plate.
Of course.
I'm going to put that up as set deck for Jacked History.
Hell yeah.
Even though people don't like watching sports shows.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's history.
He's an American hero.
Yeah, do something on him being a fighter pilot, and you're good to go.
Military stuff.
I'll be
crushes.
just so tempted to go just to lean into baseball. Yeah.
I mean, that's how you kind of really grow the channel. Is just military.
I know. But I can't. I'm not gonna allow myself to have that be something that people. I was surprised. I did an episode on, like you guys have, on the Three Stooges.
Mhm.
It's doing pretty well. People
Everyone's
are interested
dad
in old
loves
Hollywood.
Three Stooges. Yeah.
And also, yeah, everyone's dad loves Three Stooges. Anyone our age grew up watching it. And also, the story's fucked up. So,
Yeah.
it's a
Sad.
It's a great combo.
Yeah, and you guys focused on Curly, which I kind of spread it out throughout their entire career.
Yeah.
But the Curly aspect is so fucking sad. I
Curly-
didn't get into the weeds like you guys did.
Curly is the OG Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're gonna sound like idiots if we talk like in the weeds military stuff, because neither of us served. So
Well, big
we'll leave that to the fat
big
electrician.
picture stuff is big picture stuff. Anybody can.
Yeah, we can't
comprehend
break
that.
down, combat tactics,
Unit movement at the company
squad-size
level, yeah.
combat. Yeah. But you want to? We could talk about Gettysburg, right? Stuff. What's his name without the leg?
People have entire podcasts on Gettysburg.
Yeah.
That's so meaty of a topic.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, this is softcore history. We love you guys. We appreciate you for tuning in. For Jack Mandaville, Rob Fox, I'm Dan Regester, and you just got soft served.